Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka done. I would like to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp, BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. They are an online, international therapy company. So if you are anywhere in the world and you need to get to a therapist, just go to betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez, fill out a few questions, and they will place you with a licensed professional therapist, master's level or PhD level. So they're awesome and they're affordable, which is really cool. So betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez. Okay, let us dive into the questions, shall we? What do you think about the Menendez brothers, abusive parents killed by their two sons in the Beverly Hills case? Well, what I think is that the psychiatrist or the psychologist that they had has been booted out of my profession for ethics violations. So they claimed CPTSD, but given that he's been booted out for ethics violations, I think that calls that into question. So anyway, that's what I think about it. So there that is. You can read articles online about it. There's a whole thing. So anyway, there's that. Okay. Hi, Chris. What type of BPD does Amber Heard have? Serious question. Thank you. I don't know. I don't have her in front of me. And honestly, I have not been watching the trial. I haven't. I'm too busy with my own clients. So she's not in front of me. I can't tell you. I can tell you that the audio recording of her telling her spouse at the time that, no one will believe him because he's a male and no one will believe a male's being abused by a female. Pretty telling. So I think there's a lot of issues going on there for sure. Definitely we know she has BPD. We know she's got histrionic. There possibly could be some other things going on. So yeah, that's what I think. So, and I don't have her in front of me, so I can't say. So there that is. Okay. If you know someone is a flying monkey and you ignore them, would they keep trying until you give in? They might. And would this count as harassment? Yes, it definitely would. So basically, if somebody is a flying monkey and they keep, pushing, not taking no for an answer, but why, you're going to basically have to say stop and I mean it, and if you want to go no contact with them, like you don't want them to contact you, you're going to get it in writing. So what you're going to do is you're going to send them a text or you're going to send them an email, one of the two. And you're going to say, I do not want any further contact from you. Period. Not on text, not on email, not in person, not on social media. Please stop contacting me. Period. And then you send that to them, and as soon as they receive it, you block them on everything. Block them on everything. If they then continue to harass you, sending you, getting onto burner phones, sending you texts, sending you emails, creating accounts on social media, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, what you're going to do is you're going to have to not respond. Do not respond. Do not respond. You're going to gather all the evidence, screenshots, whatever you need to do. And then once you have a series of, this is clearly harassment, 60 phone calls a day, 20 phone calls a day, texts all the time, texts all hours of the day and night, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then you gather up all your evidence, you go to your local court, and you file an order of protection or a restraining order. I'm not sure what it's called in your local area. So you do that, and the judge will ask you what's going on, and then you present your evidence. You can't just do it because, they contacted me once, or, they didn't take no for an answer once. No, you've got to show a series of behaviors. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, they've sent me these ridiculous emails. They've sent me this ridiculous amount of texts. They tried to call me from different phone numbers, that kind of thing. Then you can show harassment. So, and it's easier to get a restraining order, I think, if there are no children involved. So I know this is a flying monkey, so it's not the abuser, but in cases where it's a high conflict divorce, it's really hard to get a restraining order. You have to show abuse, basically, before they'll give you a restraining order. Neglect or abuse, child is endangered, that kind of thing. Because when you're in a high conflict divorce, you have to have contact with the other client or the other parent. you know, and so it's really hard to not. So, and so judges often don't give restraining orders unless there's, you know, imminent harm going to happen. So you want to get your evidence. It's easier to get it if there's no children involved. If it's a flying monkey, it'll probably be easier as opposed to an abuser, like a direct abuser. So, but you want to get your evidence together, and you want to make sure everything's in writing, and you never answer the phone if it's them. You don't. You just screenshot, oh, they called you. There's the voicemail, and, you know, so you do that. So yeah, once you tell somebody in writing, I do not want contact with you, please stop contacting me. From that moment on, now it's harassment, because you've told them, I don't want contact with you, please stop. So there that is. All right, let's look at the next question. When we get to the feeling of indifference, it's so healing. How can we fast forward to that stage? No, you don't fast forward to that stage. So how we learn is through feeling. How we learn is through experience. So the question you want to ask yourself is, how old are you when you're asking me that question? How old's your inner child? Because the inner child is the one that's going, but, no, I don't want to feel, I don't want to feel, I don't want to feel. Well, here's the thing. When we are dealing with abusive families, family of origin, or we're dealing with an abuser, they train us to not feel, and they train us to be terrified of our own emotions. And the way out is through. So when you're like, where's the easy button? How old are you? How old are you? Comfort that inner child. Work on the things that you're afraid of working on. There's fear, obviously. So you got to work through the fear. And the reason you have to work through this and you have to experience it is because you want to make yourself bulletproof. Because if you don't, you're not going to learn, okay? And you won't make yourself bulletproof to abusers in the future. So you work through the emotions, you work through the who, what, when, where, how, why. You work through all of that trauma, you work through all of this stuff, you get to this state of indifference, you make yourself bulletproof, because then you recognize the behavior a mile away. You see it, so you can sidestep it. So when you're wanting the easy button, how old are you? And what are you afraid of? What's the emotion you're trying to avoid? What are you trying to avoid? How old are you? Get the Inner Child Workbook by Catherine Taylor, or the one by Lucia Cappuccioni. Get one of those two, or any Inner Child Workbook. Start working on the inner child. What are you trying to avoid? How old are you? How old are you trying to avoid all this? Work on self-esteem. The Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi. Get that, work it. Work on boundaries. The Disease to Please by Harriet Breaker. Doing the work. Working through the emotions, working through the fear, working through the anger, working through the sadness, working through the betrayal is what helps us grow and keeps us safe. Because now it's like, oh, that's why I fell for that particular line of BS that they handed me. Isn't that interesting? Oh, family of origin. Isn't that interesting? So what we do with little kids, you know, as our inner child, what an inner child does is it looks outside of us and it goes, ooh, subconsciously, somebody that kind of sort of reminds me of family of origin, people who I had difficulty with in the family of origin, mom, dad, grandparents, aunts, uncles, whatever. I know if I can make that person love me, I prove these guys wrong. Half of a doo-doo sandwich, half of a doo-doo sandwich, total doo-doo sandwich. You don't want that. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to work through it. There is no easy button, guys. The only way out is through. Feel it. You got to feel it to heal it. So get the books I recommend. I post all of the books up on Facebook. So I've got it pinned to the top. All of the books that I recommend are up there. So you want to work through all of the self-esteem, the boundaries, the CPTSD from Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. Work through all of that. And then ask yourself, how old are you when you're trying to avoid it? How old are you when you ask that question? Love that little kid. Love that little kid. Hi, good to see you. Have a great day. You know what? It's okay to feel. It's okay to feel. It's okay to feel it, to heal it. It's okay, little one. It's okay. It's okay. It'll be all right. Painful? Probably. But it's okay. And we need to do this so that we don't have it happen to ourselves again. And I love you. And then you walk out. So that's what you want to do. Okay, let's see. Question, can you describe hoovering, please? Okay, hoovering. Hoovering is what an abuser does once the relationship ends. So hoovering is so named for the vacuum, the Hoover vacuum, right? So sucking things in, right? So what an abuser does is days, weeks, months, years, sometimes decades after the relationship has ended, they'll throw out a line. They're fishing. They're trying to see if they're gonna hook you, if you're gonna respond. So usually what a hoovering is a text or an email, or maybe they get a hold of you on social media. Oh, I saw your picture and you look so beautiful and I miss you so much. How are you doing? Sounds innocent, doesn't it? Or, gosh, I was thinking about you and I really miss you. Sounds innocent, right? What they're looking for is to suck you back into their drama, basically. And so a hoover is any communication that the abuser initiates when the relationship is done. Like, you recognize it's abuseful, you're done, you're out of it, you're gone, you're healing, and then lo and behold, just when you think you're good, oh, baby, I really miss you. I'll change. I'll go to therapy. And of course, the inner child, that little kid inside of us goes, oh, they're going to change. Oh, they get it. They get how they hurt me. No, they don't. No, they don't. Because they wouldn't have hurt you in the first place if they really cared. And number two, if they did hurt you, they would own it immediately as soon as you brought it to their attention that they harmed you. And it would be a heartfelt apology. I am so sorry. I did not mean to hurt you. How can I make amends? I take responsibility for this. It will not happen again. I am so sorry. And then it doesn't happen again. But with an abuser, what they do is they ignore the harm. I didn't hurt you. They love to tell us whether or not they hurt us. Have you ever noticed that? And then what they'll do is, you did this, you did that. You're the reason your behavior. You guns, right? That's not a real apology. A real apology is, I hurt you. I own it. How can I make amends? What do you need? That's the only you that should ever be in that sentence. And then the behavior never happens again. But with an abuser, it's, I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, you. I'm sorry I got caught. I'm sorry. Do you see where I'm going with that? And then they do the behavior all over again because they are truly not sorry. So that's a hoover. A hoover is anything that they say after the relationship is ended that they think is going to hook you. That they're throwing the fishing line out and they're just seeing if you're going to, they're chumming the waters is what they are. And so it's called a hoover because it sucks us back in. And of course we get sucked back in because we haven't done the work. Please see previous question. We haven't done the work. We haven't worked on the inner child. We haven't strengthened that inner child. We haven't worked on our self-esteem. We haven't worked on our boundaries and our list of deal breakers. And you want to do all of that to make sure that when, not if, when the hoover occurs, you're impervious to it. You're like, yep, that right there's a hoover. Yep, that's a hoover if I ever saw one. And you're able to not fall for it. So that's a hoover. Okay, let's see. I want to get some questions that I had online. How do I undo the abandonment issues my parents gave me? Okay, when parents are inconsistent, when they are neglectful, abusive, etc., it creates attachment disorders for us, okay? So an insecure attachment is when mom and dad are not consistent and we're not sure whether they're coming back or not, okay? And a healthy attachment, the kid knows mom leaves the room, she's coming right back. Dad leaves the room, he's coming right back. They leave me with a babysitter, they're going to come back. It's not a fearful thing. With an insecure attachment, there's a sense of abandonment because mom and dad were not consistent and they made it clear that they didn't like us, right? So really, to work on that abandonment issue, you're going to want to get with a really good trauma therapist, somebody who understands neglectful parents, abusive parents, how that attachment issue starts playing out. So several issues can happen. It's either an insecure attachment or avoidant attachment, where you're just avoid. I got my own back. I don't need anybody. I don't want to get attached to anybody. That's avoidance because it's a trauma response. So you want to start working on your attachment style. And yes, those can be fixed. Abso-freaking-lutely, but it takes working on self-esteem. It takes working on reparenting yourself. Hi, good to see you. Have a great day. I'm right here. I got you. I got your back, Have a great day. And then walk out. So reparenting yourself. So working with a trauma therapist, working on self-esteem, working on boundaries, working on, Inner child work, that's going to be huge because you're going to go through and start healing all of those times that mom and dad were not consistent. Within you. You're not fixing them, you're fixing you. So that is how you start working on the abandonment issues. So get with a good trauma therapist that understands attachment issues, okay, and understands abandonment. Absolutely. Probably getting with a DBT therapist is going to help the most. So, and EMDR, it's another great one. EFT, that's another great one. CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, yeah, any of those are good. So start working on that with a trauma therapist. Absolutely. Okay. My ex and his new wife love inflicting pain on me and using the kids as pawns. How do I handle this? Okay. So narcissists do one of two things. They either get with a minor narcissist, they get with a borderline that they can just eat, which is horrible, or they get with a major narcissist. So with the minor narcissist and the major narcissist, those two tend to pair up and go after the former spouse. So remember, they need a drama triangle: the villain, the victim, and the hero. Okay. So the narcissist is always the hero or the victim. Okay. They're never the villain, ever. So what they do is you are the identified patient. You are the problem, right? You're the villain, right? So they're going to do everything they can to turn the kids against you. They're going to do everything they can to harm you, to hurt you, whatever. So, excuse me, hold on a second. So what you're going to do is you're going to get My Family Wizard. All communication is going to go through My Family Wizard. That way they can't play games with the communication. Obviously, you've got kids together, and I talked about this earlier. You've got kids together. You cannot ignore emails and things like that. And this is why I love Susanna Quintana, because she teaches people how to ignore the emails and only respond to what has to do with the kids, because narcissists, and especially their narcissistic new partners or supply, are experts at, poke, 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 poke. One tiny line about the kids, poke, 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 poke. And then they get angry when you don't respond about the kids because you've ignored it or you've missed it. So you want to make sure to only respond that's about the kids, and you ignore the rest. You are under no obligation to address the multitude of sins that they are accusing you of. You only address what has to do with the children. Now, they will do parental alienation. So in your divorce decree, I hope to God you had in there that the kids get therapy. Oftentimes this gets overlooked because there's so much going on, but you must make sure that the children get therapy in your divorce decree, because if you don't, the abuser will make sure the kids never get therapy. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. And you want to make sure that those kids are going to therapy. So if there's therapy sessions scheduled on the opposing parent's time, they'll make sure that the kids don't go. You want to make sure it's court ordered those kids go. Do you see where I'm going with that? So you want to get the kids into therapy. If it's not in your divorce decree, you want to talk to an attorney. Seriously. When you're talking to the kids, you do not want to bad mouth the other parent. It will bite you in the butt. Now, what kids do is they tend to side with the abuser if there is no therapy to help them. Okay, this is why you want to get them into therapy, so that they understand that they're being manipulated without it being overtly said, which is why the abusers don't want the kids in therapy. So you want to make sure that there's another set of eyes on it that are helping the kids balance, middle path, right? Because what the abusers demand is that everybody be on their side and everybody hate you, including the kids. And that's not fair and that's not right. And yes, the new supply will side, obviously, with the abuser and you're the villain, you're the bad guy, so you have to be punished. So they will do everything they can to try to hurt you. Document, document, document. Get with a good trauma therapist. Get with a good attorney. And use My Family Wizard so that the emails cannot be erased. They cannot be messed with. They can't be, and it's like whatever they've said in the heat of the moment. Oh, look, Your Honor. I think that's harassing and abuse, don't you? That kind of thing. And that's why they hate My Family Wizard. So, yeah. So that's what you want to do. All right, kids. I am running out of time, so you guys be good. This week, I'm going to be talking about games they play. Games they play. So we're going to be talking about covert narcissists and the games that they play. We're going to be talking about all the narcissists, but I want to specifically hit on covert narcissists because they're the ones that blindside you. So that's what we're going to be talking about is covert narcissism, all of the narcissism, but games they play. So that's what we're going to talk about. All right, you guys, be good, drink lots of water, take good care of yourself, and I will talk to you on Sunday. Bye.